Everybody, I'm Suzanne Gundersen from Screenwritenow. I help screenwriters and industry creatives to naturally de-stress and get focused into their creative rhythm and flow, build tremendous confidence, and deepen their emotional worldview into wisdom and truth. That way they can hook every audience. So today's video is a part of my Industry Wisdom Bit series where I'm bringing you professionals in television and film to share with us one golden nugget of wisdom or advice that they've come to learn in their career and maybe can help you too. So today we're joined by Heather Hale. Heather, thank you so much for being here today. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a writer, director, producer with almost 100 hours now of produced credits, most notably a Lifetime original movie. I directed an indie thriller, and I'm currently getting my MFA in directing.
Brilliant. Well, all of that must be so much incredible experience that you've gone through. Could you just narrow that down to just one gem or golden nugget for our audience today?
Yeah, it's interesting. When you asked, I thought, well, there's a million things I could say, a million. And a lot of what you said, even in the beginning, being authentic, telling the stories that you really want to tell. We can talk about that in a second. But the one that comes to mind, especially for screenwriters, is to, we all call in favors for reads, and we try to get read before we go out into the marketplace. And having been a screenwriter for 20 some odd years, and now getting my MFA and having been in the professional arena as well as in academia, is get one read at a time. That is something I have just learned. I used to have everyone in the writing group read it, and if everybody has the same thoughts, you've exhausted all your next reads. Plus, it's also possible they'll have quite different feedback. So I think if you have a few favors to pull them in one at a time, and really be precious about that. Consider the feedback, decide if you're going to do a rewrite, get it as clean as you can. So do those reads one at a time. I do have a small little writing group that 4 or 5 of us get together on Zoom, and it's contemporaneous. That's important. But when you get a scattered feedback and you're trying to process it and reconcile it yourself, just one at a time. That is my gem for the day.
Oh, that is so important, because you're so right. How many people are just like, read it, and they want to hand it out to everybody. And the next thing you know, you're trying to rationalize just like 10 different thought processes of people. And you go, but that was important, but that sounded good. And oh yeah, how wonderful. Just go to one at a time.
You might be already realize what you screwed up, and now you're cringing that 10 other people are reading it and you know how to fix it.
Right.
One at a time.
Yeah. And then you're gonna get 10 critiques back on the same thing. And you're like,
then you get beat up over it because you figured it out. How often is it that you're like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever written, and then you hit send and you're like, oh, like the minute it's gone, it all floods you with everything you could have done better. Yeah.
Oh, wow, for sure. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, writing is a process, right? And this is why I always tell people, you are allowed to keep your first draft. You're allowed to, and hold on to that as a baby, and then let it grow, let it grow, let it grow.
I always think it's helpful to look at artists that you love, their early work, or even Spielberg's student films. Look at the early stuff. Don't compare yourself to their big blockbusters and their priceless works of art. Look at their burgeoning process. And the other thing I think is really important to remember is our industry has changed so much, especially in the last 2 years. It's changed a lot in the last 10, the last 5, but oh my goodness, with COVID, Me Too, Black Lives Matter. And so while I think a lot of people don't realize, they haven't processed it, you deal a lot with mental health and self-love, and all of that's so important. But there's so many people who are like, I want to see more representation. I want to see characters like me. And then they put themselves, or they put a character that they can identify with in the lead role. And yet they still populate it with people who are pulling the strings who shouldn't be. Think about what you're trying to put out into the world, what you're trying to put out into the communal zeitgeist. And what if that were the world the way you wish it would be? That's hope. So maybe set it such that your characters have agency, and that they are driving their stories, and that you're showing the way the world could be with collaboration and all of that. Don't just swap the gender or the race of somebody and tell the same old story we've all heard, because that's stale. We're ready for a fresh new world. And So I think people need to really dig deep for what they're really
Oh,
doing.
yeah. And I am the excavator extraordinaire. You know, I take people at their limitations and I hold their hand and go to those unresolved places that are deep within them. That
Yeah.
way they can safely process them, come up from out of it, kind of rise through the ashes out of it, and really hold those experiences with much more peace and wisdom. That way they can write from them without being triggered and then being sent sideways and then having then just being lost in no man's land. And that's
Yeah.
why they don't go there.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's what I do. So, but wonderful. I love the wisdom and advice you share with our audience today. And I love even your delivery of it. You're so enthusiastic and so passionate. I can just sense it from you. So how can we find out more about what's going on with you today?
Well, I'm Heather at heatherhale.com. Heatherhale.com is my website, and hopefully I'll be doing stuff soon. But right now I'm hunkered down finishing my MFA, which hopefully will be some amazing stuff coming out of it. That's the goal, right?
Beautiful. Yeah, you're mastering your creativity. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing that today.
Right.
Everybody, feel free to pop on over to my website, screenwritenow.com, and download your free ebook copy of 3 Steps to Get Pitch Ready. That way you can get into alignment with yourself, your script, and hook your audience. Thank you again, Heather. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.